Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Bill Kanda, Custer County Commissioner, Wednesday, October 20, 2021. Silence your phones. Remind me to turn it back on. This meeting is being recorded both here and on Zoom and on YouTube. And so we've got our phone silenced, everybody's ready to go, and we've got a pretty nice list today here. We're down in Wetmore. So please stand and let's see if the Queen of Wetmore can give us the start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Thank you. Thanks, Gail. Okay, roll call, Kelly.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flowers.
Present.
Commissioner Day.
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present and loving it.
And clerk to the board, Kelly Camper, present.
All right, thanks. And we'll have an audience introduction.
John Squire, Wetmore.
Guarding the roles, right?
Got it.
Yeah. Carol Heiser, Wetmore. Dana Day, Wetmore. Mary Mallory, West Cliff.
Go ahead over here.
Bruce Barr, Wetmore.
Lauren Gray, Wetmore. Kurt Wilson, Road Bridge.
Rick Roper, Wetmore Fire. Jackie Hobby, Planning and Zoning. Kristen Maloney, Assessor's Office.
Thanks. You get them all, Kelly?
Yep.
We got anybody online? I don't think we have anybody out there, do we? Just Kayla. Kayla's online. Okay, that's everybody, and if anybody does come in later online, we'll introduce them as they ask questions, if they do. Okay, any amendments to the agenda, Kevin? No, sir. Tom? None here either. And Kelly's been working overtime here in the last week. She's got 3 minutes for us to look at and did September 7, 8, and 9, 15. Any comments on you, Tom?
No, I think through them.
I think Kevin did some minor, not minor, but very minute looking and found something.
Not on the minutes.
Oh, good.
I move that we approve the minutes from September 7th, September 8th, and September 15th.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes and approve them from September 7, 8, and 15. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And aye. Okay, commissioner items. How about it, Tom?
Thank you, sir. Go through my calendar, since the last commissioner meeting on the 6th of October. On the 7th, all of us attended the DA budget hearing in Canyon City. Also on the 7th, attended the Tri-County Broadband meeting, also in Canyon City, following the DA budget. And then that evening, October the 7th, I attended the CSU Extension Water Lecture at Lang Hall. A couple of guest speakers. The manager of Groundwater Water and Sanitation District. That was good. Justin Kroll from Colorado Parks and Wildlife also spoke and talked pretty much about Lake Dewey's, the algae growth, and all that. So I'm glad I went. We're having another one here in another week or two. And I mentioned that last time. On the 8th, I attended the Colorado Counties Incorporated Legislative final hearing in Castle Rock. There were 32 pieces of legislation that CCI looked at. We narrowed those down to 8. certainly I would support that as far as the fire mitigation thing, but, these wells that are, or these ponds that are illegal, there's just nothing we can do about it. So, and so they didn't refer that, well, they kind of did refer that, to a committee for further study, and so then I got back up and I said, look, you don't understand, folks, these ponds are being drained right now. You wanna send this back to another committee and let them talk about it for another 6 or 8 months, what's the point? They're gonna be drained and it'll be done and over with, so,
But did they talk, they can go through the process and get them adjudicated?
oh yeah, they can, years and
It takes a while.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, but, they can make application to get them adjudicated. There's no way the water courts are gonna allow it, because they gotta have that water for the Arkansas compact.
Down the bottom.
And believe it or not, the big deal really is evaporation, water loss, so. Anyway, had a good meeting up there that day. On the 13th, I attended we had a recycling grant meeting out at the landfill to address a couple of little issues that came up. We're moving forward with that, we've talked about that a little bit. I haven't been out there this week, I don't know that the pad got poured, I don't think it did, but, that was gonna be the next step, to dig the pit for the elevator, form it up, pour it, and then we're gonna pour the floor around that. We had a little mix-up with the building. I looked at the plans, there were supposed to be 2 12 by 14 foot doors. We got 1 12 by 14 opening in the building and 1 8 by 10 opening. So that's one of the reasons we met, and so I think we got that cleared up, get 2 12 by 14 foot openings. We're gonna have to put electric to that, so. And then, that being accomplished, we were able to leave the cardboard baler in the current configuration. Now we can feed it from the south and take the bales out from the north. So there's just really not enough room up there to get trucks in to unload from the north. So that's why we swapped that. And then on the 14th, I attended the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District meeting in Salida. They went over their preliminary budget. I had swallowed about 10% salary increase across the board. That met a little resistance. I spoke to both of our county reps, and, they indicated they probably were not gonna fight that because, Skanga presented that as a one-time catch-up thing on the salary to try to keep up with the cost of living up there in Salida. Their next, meeting is the 11th, and that's when they'll go over the final review, and they actually have a public hearing on that budget on the 11th, so. And that's the same day as their regular meeting, so I'll go to that as well. The 15th, last Saturday, I attended the, National Resource Conservation Services, Reforestation tour up on the west side of the valley. We basically ended up by Tanglewood and then up above the Willow School. They're doing some work up there on private property. That whole reforestation plan is they wanna try to get back to a point where the landscape mimics what it would look like if we hadn't controlled fire over the last 100 years. So, not clear cut, selective cutting, but probably 85% tree removal. They're trying to get rid of a lot of that white pine. The Forest Service, National Resource Conservation views white pine as a weed. They're just trying to get all of that out of there. And, it's subject to mistletoe a little more than some other trees, so it was interesting that, to see the barrier of the land that they worked on and not down the fence line, but it was straight at the fence line where they hadn't treated it. It was just incredible difference, right? That's a good tour there. And then, of course,
weed is another man's Christmas tree. Hard to believe.
They are nice.
Go ahead, Ken.
I also went up, not the same time you did, to look at that mitigation up there, and, it is, it's not clear cut, but,
Pretty close.
it's pretty close.
Did you go up and turn right and go down towards Tanglewood?
Yeah, it's,
That new stuff, all of his equipment was
yeah,
still
he
there?
was still working, actually, they actually ran that, chipper while we were there,
Okay.
and,
Yeah, that's pretty serious.
that's a nice machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Kevin's on a crusade.
No, this isn't anything like that. This would put what we agreed on, to shame. I mean, this here, he just grabs that
Just
with a
eats it
grapple
up,
hook
doesn't
and
it?
drops them whole
Okay.
trees in
Yeah,
there, and
I
it
know.
just spits them out. But,
Serious, Chip.
I think that particular landowner, didn't think it was gonna look quite that way now, although in 2 or 3 years, it's gonna look really nice.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did you notice the other part to the south they
Mhm.
did several years ago, it's grassed back in, looks
Yeah.
great, so.
So, and then just to the north of it, there's where the line is, where they quit, and,
Yeah, a couple of those landowners from the East Hills that was on that tour got a little freaked out when they saw it.
so,
They just thought that was pretty severe.
but it will come out pretty nice when, here in a couple years, so. Apparently, after our meeting with, Brian Fusco and Matt Nolte the other day, I was misconstrued. They did not understand what I said. I've been in contact with them since that time, and I think that they now understand my position. And, Tina's trying to set up a meeting. She sent out a couple of dates to try to get those two, myself, Carol, Tanner Webb, the chief from down here. I think that was it, isn't it? There might be, I'm trying to think now, I think there's one other person, to where we can all get together face to face.
Yeah, Tom Shepherd.
Tom Shepherd, yes, from the hospital district, and so that we can all sit down face to face, and everybody knows where we're all at on everything, and, you know, we're not all gonna agree, but at least we all know each other's position, and,
Might mention what it's on.
it's in regards to the ambulance service in Wetmore, and, so, been trying to deal with that some. Of course, a couple of the same things that Tom has talked about, we've been a little busy this week with budget, we all did attend the DA hearings and, broadband meeting. And I'll quit there.
Okay. Might be worth mentioning on that DA budget, just so everybody understands, every county is accountable to pay for the, district attorney for our district. I don't know, we have 4 or 5 counties, how many counties? 4 in that. 4 in that district. And Linda Stanley's the new DA, and, not knowing how things work, she came to the budget hearing wanting, $6 million, whatever it was. Because she was ready to redecorate the office and make it bigger and get more. She hired, 4 investigators, and she hired a couple, new. We have a full-time, assistant DA in Custer County now, which is nice. Costs money, but given what she asked and what she got, we gave her 3% increase over last year, just so you know. We protect the budget, and to us, that's still some pretty big money for us. That's like
What was her request? What percent was her request?
It was like what was it, 200%, 40% increase?
43%
Yeah.
is what she wanted.
Yeah,
She got.
we gave her 3. And, but that's still $125K to Custer County, so just to let you know, in our budget, we're in the middle of hearings now, and it's a $7 million budget's all we have, and most of it is fenced, we call it, restricted, like the road and bridge is, road maintenance to go all the way to Albuquerque and back with a motor grader. That's what we do. So we have to protect that budget, and we gotta figure out how to deal with what we have. Hard for people to understand that you just don't have a lot of money to do a lot of stuff with. It's a county our size. So everything, and we all looked at Fremont County, because they got, what, $2 or $3 million budget, more, or bigger than we did. Pretty amazing budget that they have. And then, broadband, we did talk about that, and that's looking at, getting fiber in with, Orfano County, us, and Fremont County, get good connectivity. That's in addition to what the broadband program is now, and that may or may not go. We don't know where that is yet, because they're, still finishing that up. And we'll know whether our towers are gonna be approved or not. But in any case, fiber is coming, and we do have new technology that might be the substitute for us spending money on broadband, so we'll see how that goes. The other thing we've been doing is, the Justice Center forum that we had, was probably good. It was an impromptu one that we did, last week before last. A lot of new people in there, and it's interesting because Justice Center we've been working on for 3 years solid, pretty heavy, and 2 or 3 years before that had been going on. We have our own land, thank heavens, we own that already through donations and other things that we've got. So we've come a long ways. But all of a sudden it hits the ballot. We all got your mail in the mail, and everybody said, "What's going on? What happened here?" And so we had a lot of people, which is good, coming and learning. And then other people that came saying, "Well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?" And we said, "We did. You weren't there." So, people just finally catch up. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. We do need the safety aspects of the courthouses. Courtroom's a big deal. What's got it going? We don't meet codes. We don't meet requirements. We don't meet state statutes on that. And the jail is about the same boat. That's why we combined them. So we'll see how the taxpayers think about it. And guess what? It's only, 3 weeks away, whatever it is now. Getting close.
In process, actually.
Yeah, it is. So that's in the works. The airport, AWOS is in. That's the automatic weather observation system that the state came to us. It was really a neat thing. We were one of 2 counties that did not have that, county airports in the state. And so they were anxious to get that in because that makes the air traffic network that the state's accountable for complete and safe, a lot safer, because we have an automatic reporting of the weather at Silver West, at the airport itself, exactly what the cloud cover is, the winds and the temperatures and all that are necessary for people to get in here in worse weather or better weather, or not to come at all. It's too not safe. That's going to be activated, and one piece of paper that's been approved, the frequency's been approved. We've got that with the FCC, and that's coming. Got one more piece of paper to turn in, which I'll do after this meeting with the airport board, and they should turn that on. It's on now. You can call it up and get it on the phone, but it's not active on the network yet for the airplanes to pick up. That'll be soon. And budget hearings. We'll all get through that eventually. So thanks. That's all I got.
Now, just one other thing real quick. You mentioned DA. So her struggle will continue. She's now short an ADA. Assistant DA in Chase County quit. And nobody up there now to do all the legwork on prosecution, Gary Morphew. So,
Be interested to see. She talks a tough game. She sounds tough. We'll see. She's gonna follow through.
I don't remember when that case goes to trial. I thought it was May. But it could have, I don't think it's February. I think it's later than that, over May. So I don't know what they're gonna do about the system DA up there.
No. All right. We'll continue on here. So what do you have there, Clint?
Well, on October 7, I attended the, meeting in Canyon City with the district attorney about the budget. When I heard what she was paying some of her assistants.
Well, now you're gonna quit.
Well, no, now that I hear there's a vacancy.
Yeah.
I was a prosecutor for a number of years, many, many years ago. But I'm out of that game now. I'm just milking the county for as much as
Well, you can go up there and get hired.
You're doing a darn good job.
If you get a win prosecuting Morphew, you'd be famous.
Yeah.
Of course, you're already famous, I meant more famous.
I attended the budget hearing on Monday. Yesterday, I elected to stay home and watch paint dry, as being more exciting.
It was.
I worked with Jackie on a couple of things last week. I take more credit. I didn't really do anything except discuss it, but one had to do with the cease and desist order that we issued against the individual who's operating a business out of his property without having a special use permit. Then there was another one, I'm not quite sure where it stands right now. There was an eviction that had been done, and everything that was taken out of the house was just dumped in the county right of way. I don't know if that's completely resolved yet or not. I'll talk to Jackie about it and find out. A lot of what I do as county attorney is kind of behind the scenes. I did a lot of legal research on a confidential issue, which I shared with you, and which I can't brag about here, but I'm pretty proud of what I found. This afternoon, this has nothing to do with county work, but it's, I think this is interesting. A producer from the Fox News channel is coming to Westcliff. Fox News is starting a new channel, the Fox Weather Channel, and this producer is coming to interview me in my capacity as president of Dark Skies, because they want to do these weather channels, intersperse the weather with little, segments of various things. They want to do one on the Wet Mountain Valley, Dark Skies, its impact on the economy and tourism and everything. So I'll be meeting with her, and she's also going to be meeting with, she wanted to meet with two other people that had information or would talk about the impact on tourism, and one's going to be Cheryl Schwartz, who has her own jewelry store in town, and then, of course, Debbie Adams, who's, the real cheerleader for tourism in Custer County. So hopefully we'll get some good coverage out of that, and I have no idea when that would actually result in something being shown on television, but...
Cool.
And then the most important thing of all, and I keep mentioning this, I'm getting a little worried because I haven't seen anything about the ticker tape parade yet, but this Friday is my 50th anniversary as a attorney. Oh, somebody's turning on, just our turn got off.
Yeah. I think they fell asleep on the button.
Yeah, my 50th anniversary as a licensed attorney in Colorado. Still going, not so strong.
Congratulations.
Still going, okay. That's all I got.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary. I've always said that Custer County is the center of the universe. You proved it. Thanks. How about you, Tina?
I have nothing to say.
Today? Okay. All right, any public comment, anything anybody out here want to bring up that we can think about it for a later meeting, or you got an issue that we can think about? Anybody online? All right, let's press on. Any unfinished business? Tom? Kevin? No, sir, I don't have any. So we're ready to move on. We've got 7 items to consider today, and they're all good ones that will help move the county forward on a lot of neat things. So there'll be opportunity for you all to talk and make comments as we go through them and before we vote on them, if they require a vote. The first one up is consideration of the supplemental budget for the Custer County Kids Council Resolution number 2119. And we met with the leader of that yesterday, and who was going to...
I would move we adopt resolution 20-19, supplemental budget action.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the supplemental budget, resolution for the Custer County Kids Council Resolution 2119. I'll read it just so it's on the record. It's a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for Custer County. I want to point out, this particular one's fully grant supported. It's a pass-through that we support and endorse for Custer County Kids Council. It says, whereas the additional revenue was received from sources other than property tax mill levy, the revenue source is the Buell Foundation grant for $20,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Custer County Board of Commissioners, Custer County, Colorado, that the 2021 appropriation for the expense account in the Custer County Kids Council Department, account number 104411.51010 is hereby increased by $1,500 for the purpose of covering the expenditures as follows, and it's a part-time worker salary of $1,500. Be it further resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado, that the 2021 appropriation for the salary account in the Intergovernmental Revenue Department, account number, read that, 1000033.33405, is hereby increased by $20,000. Adopted this day, October 20th, 2021. So any conversation, any discussion?
Well, I should have asked yesterday, I didn't, I'm trying to get it to my calculator here real quick. I'm assuming that this part-time worker's salary is $1,500 per month, which is $18,000, which obviously this $20,000 transfer will cover that. I don't know that, but it makes sense. I don't think we transferred $20,000 to cover a $1,500.
No, it's not for $1,500, that's...
So, I wonder, I don't think it's critical that we expound on that $1,500, but it does make it look like we're transferring $20,000 to cover a $1,500 salary.
Right, and
That makes sense.
we can fix that, edit on that after, but we can approve it like it is, I believe, and get it updated. But that's why it's there. You know, discussion?
I see your point, Tom. I don't know, I think I would be all right with it the way it is, or if you were of a mind to, we could put
Well,
per
I
month.
don't know for a fact that it is, so I won't push that.
No, I
The
think
other
it
thing I should mention is, I misspoke, we're not transferring this money, we are letting the budget reflect that we have unanticipated expenses. Because when we did the budget last year, we didn't know this part-time salary was gonna be paid for. So it's not transferring the money, it's acknowledging the fact that we're gonna have unanticipated expenses, and we have the revenue to offset that.
Right.
through the Buell Foundation.
That's right. And that's why we have to have a resolution to recognize money in, money out.
Yeah, I said transfer, and that's not really correct.
Okay, any other discussion?
What is the Custer County Kids Council? Good question.
Stacy Terrell is the head of that. They do a lot with the youth in Custer County, mainly in the West Cliff area. They're working, at this time, right now, with the school district. They're getting, a child care unit they're actually getting a physical building moved into the school. Right now, they're housing some children that they are, set up child care services for teachers. They're the highest priority, and so that they can,
Yeah. Daycare center, we
but,
have two on West Cliff that I think the head count's like 15. This will add another 30 to the daycare of the young kids, 3-year-old, 5, whatever. And so that's a big deal with that building that they're gonna get, brings the total up to 45 and can be handled.
Infant, toddler,
anyway, it's a good thing, and, it's all grant supported. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of passing resolution 21-19, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. So do we have one of these to sign, or is it this one?
No, you have one on your.
Under there, so I'll do that. Okay, good, thanks. Okay, next item is consideration of the designation of the Pike National Historic Trail Resolution number 21-20. So who's presenting that?
Hardwood phone?
We're supposed to have, gotta call in.
Let's see.
I don't know about you guys, I ended up with 8 different documents dealing with.
Yeah, I did too. Who are we looking for?
Our,
Barb, are you on the line?
There's one phone number that's not named, maybe that's him. Hello? We got a phone number 303-912-9939. Kinda recognize that number. There's another number, 784-6669.
Should be a 303 number.
That's,
They may be.
this building.
Okay, if you're on, unmute. I don't think we can do that, can we, Jordan? It's 303-912-9939. Well, maybe we ought to move that down.
Yeah, I'm all right with waiting if it comes on. I'll do it.
All right, let's put it to the back of the agenda then. Hey, Vernon, are you on? Vernon? Maybe you can text. And,
Well, there was a little confusion on my part about this whole thing. I thought it truly was a Pike National Historic Trail resolution. I don't think that's the case now, but,
what they're trying to do is, in what we would sign there, resolving to designate a series of roads, Oak Creek Grade, State Highway 96, 69, Hermit Road, Macy Lane, Horn Road, South Colony. Is that the right one?
That was, the resolution that's already been passed,
back in 2016.
Yeah, that's this is the 2020, yeah, 2020 is when this one was.
Right.
So that's
But
been,
that's the one that you're looking at the back of it, you separated, I stapled together the new one that you have your left hand on. Behind it is 21-06.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but that was what I was reading, those
Right,
roads.
but you need to read from the first. No,
On this one here,
yeah, that's the.
that's 2120.
Right, that's the one that we're talking about passing.
the back page is the
Oh,
previous one.
okay, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, I flipped it, you're right, I'm sorry. So be it resolved that Custer County Commissioners endorses the legislation necessary to designate the Pike National Historic Trail as the National Historic Trail, including resolution's final designation and appropriate measures. And further resolved to encourage the efforts of the Pike National Historic Trail Association in its attempts to gain the support for national designation in the 7 states which the Pike Expedition explored. So that's what it was. We have that trail already designated. They want to make it part of the national picture. That's what this is for.
I would ask Tina to share with us her conversation yesterday, in regard
Yeah.
to trails versus parks.
Okay, when I talked to Marv on the phone yesterday, I asked him about if we should have listed, like we listed in the 2016 resolution, the specific streets and addresses, specific streets that that the path goes through. And he said, no, it's more for parks as opposed to individual roads or things like that. That's what he told me. And I asked if he would attend the call this morning, he said, yes, he would. I sent all the information.
Do you have a number? Just so we can verify tone it down at the end of the meeting then, and then, if it doesn't happen, then we just do it on another meeting.
Yeah, I think we need to get some clarification if it's really for parks, what parks in Custer
Yeah.
County is he talking about, or is it parks in general in the area that Pike is for, or?
Whatever.
I would share real quick a couple of statements in this, resolution that was provided to us. I didn't really, I'm not an 1800s history buff, but, one of the statements is the Pike expedition was in and explored Custer County from January 16, 1807 to January 27th. And then another statement, 10 of Pike's men suffered frozen feet near West Cliff, Colorado and Custer County on June 17th in 1806, which seems a little weird, it's a year before, but it might be, with 3 being left behind in the Wet Mountain Valley. Pardon me?
That happened in 1807,
That's what I
when
wanted
they
about.
came through and when they left 3 behind.
There's a interesting tidbit on that exact thing. There's a historic view on our place up there in West Cliff off of Macy Lane, looking toward Horn Peak and toward Humboldt, and that's where they suffered the frostbite. Kind of crazy, because Pike did that in December. Think about it, I wouldn't want to camp up there in December in those days. And then they went over Broken Hand Pass, and he left the people that had frozen their toes, and got himself arrested in Pokey and Port Garland, and by the Spanish at that time. Pike was part of the expedition that was sent out on a Louisiana purchase, and Lewis and Clark went up north. They sent back cool things like birds and little things to the White House, and Pike, fumbling around, sent a bear that tore up the White House when they took him in back then. So it's kind of comical, some of the things he ran into, and got arrested, and that was neat to have him camping on pieces of property that we know as part of the designation of this trail. Pretty cool. All right, so we'll wait on that. By the way, Kit Shy was instrumental in some of this original work that was done to get the trail recognized. They went up the Arkansas River up toward Leadville, came back, went into the valley, and then went into jail and through Custer Camp. All right, the next item to consider is consideration of the the American Rescue Plan Act cover letter and application. This is a committee that we set up some time ago when we received the monies for the American Rescue Plan, money from the federal government. That was directly deposited into the Custer County Treasurer's treasury, and each county within the whole United States. It did not go through the governor's office or any other place. It went directly in. We received almost $1 million. It was 490. What was it, Kevin?
The first half was
90 something, 94,000.
I don't have that number right off.
484.
484, that's what it was. And we get another installment of that next year. And so we had decided as a commission to set up a committee of people within the county that represented a pretty broad spectrum of businesses, people, ranch types, and others that applied. And we have a great committee and ask them to, it's their job, come up with an application process and the process to waive the requirement of a person or a business, can be anybody applying for this money. It's not the COVID related in that I have a COVID expense that came up because I had to hide for 6 months. It's related to the effects of all that happened, and what can we do as a county to improve the economy of Custer County and make it grow. So, it could be an entrepreneurial thing. We've got a new business that wants to come in and employ 20 people. That's a good recovery thing, or a new ranch system or whatever. So that's up to them, and today they were going to present to us the application letter, the application process and a cover letter to us to consider. And who's doing that?
Carol.
Oh, there you are. I was looking all over. Go ahead. Did I say it right, Carol? You get to.
You got it. This has been a great committee. We have met 4 times, working through drafts of wanna present this to the community to get the widest bunch of people to be aware of it and then apply. And then it'll be the committee's job and then your job to weed through those and find those that are most worthy that will. We're looking for sustainable things, not just a one-time shot, something that a program that will continue on, that will help a broader amount of people. And also, we're hoping that these applicants, if it's applicable, that they find some matching funds. So this not be the only piece of the puzzle, but, if this could be a grant match with something else, then, if we can double our money or triple our money.
Leverage other things we can do.
Yeah, those are the kind of things we're looking at. So it's been a great process, it's been a great committee. The only thing is we meet at like 7 or 7:30 in West Cliff. It was 17 degrees the other day. I'm new to this.
Gee, you had to come out of the banana belt and get up there, didn't you?
So we've got these are in your packet, we've got a cover letter. The cover letter is going to serve as an informational piece. This will be our press release that will go out to the newspapers. We're going to post it.
What's it look like? Is it?
Yep, the Dear Custer County Citizen.
Yeah.
At the top. So that's gonna be our educational blurb to get people to be aware. The, first press release will be October 25th. So we're gonna put out 2 press releases. We're trying to kind of time this with the Spirit campaign so that people know what they got from the Spirit campaign and know what they still need, that they might apply for here, so that people aren't double dipping. But if they get something from the Spirit campaign and they're short, this opportunity will come along and maybe we can make somebody whole on the project that they would need to do. We're gonna accept applications from December 1st to the 28th. The applications will go to Tina. She will review them to make sure that they're complete. It's not a cumbersome, application, but just to make sure that people dotted their i's and crossed their t's. And then the committee will meet, and at this point in time, we really don't know what kind of response we're gonna have.
Are you, bringing them in to interview them, or are you?
That's what I was gonna say, we don't know, if we have 200 applicants, we're probably not gonna bring them in to interview. We will probably do some kind of reading through them and narrowing it down and then interviewing. If we get 15 applicants or 20 applicants, then we'll interview them all. So that part is, the crystal ball is not clear on what kind of response we'll get. So what we have before you that we ask for your approval on is cover letters that's going to be sent out as a news split, and then the grant application itself.
Okay, just a quick question. Have you talked with Reggie, in the back here as our PIO? Reggie, yeah, right there. So,
we don't know each other, no.
and so it might be a good idea, you've got several things here, you've got draft news release, you've got, the other one on the 25th, you're gonna have the first news release submitted, all those kind of things. It'd be good to have her help a little bit, give me some. And she can give you her phone number later. Okay?
So did you guys see anything, in the application that you want expounded on, want removed, or troubled by, or excited about? Be excited about our first.
Looking at this release, I'm sorry.
I hope we can go through these one at a time.
Right.
Documents, maybe start with the cover letter.
Let's,
But I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kevin, go ahead.
I think I might have been the other way around. I was just gonna say on this cover letter, I appreciated the fact that you put that link in, so that they can research and see if their plan fits into the guidelines as well.
That's Tina.
Oh, great, I hate it that I said that now.
you're in trouble. Yeah.
Tina gets all credit.
Gee whiz, you had the upper hand till
Atta
now.
girl, Tina.
Okay, yeah, we'll work the cover letter, so that's a good input. Tom, you got some thoughts?
I really realize this is a draft. I'm looking down at your paragraph about 2 categories of funding applications will be considered: grants under 10,000 for community projects in need, and grants over 10,000 to support sustainable development. I get that. I was part and parcel to some of the conversation that led to that being in there, I think, during the last committee meeting that we sat in on. My concern is this, that if I were reading this and didn't know any more than probably the average citizen, I think, I've got a business, I need some help. It's not a community project. It's not a community need. It's a need for my business or an individual. So when I read this whole thing, I thought, there's not much language in here to address individuals requesting funds for something. Startup business, whatever that is. So that was one of my thoughts there. Because this grant wasn't designed explicitly for community projects. That makes sense, what I'm saying? Because I was afraid we were going to get up to this point with not being involved in the last few committee meetings. You want to go to press the 25th. I'm just not comfortable with this idea of, I'm afraid people will say, well, this is just for a community project. I'm not going to bother. And that's not the case.
Maybe it's a county projects, individual, or, I don't know, but that's a bad point to make.
Can I call a timeout for a second? Sure. Okay, thank you. Just got a text from Vern that said he's on the phone. Want to know if we needed help with something, so can we see if he wants to deal with it?
Yeah, that was why we had.
Yeah, so would you ask him what she's about to tell you if that business is ready? Oh.
Right, I was gonna let you know that we just speak to Harv, and he is on the call, he just has *6, and we should be able to hear him.
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hold just for a sec?
So
Sure.
Yeah, Carol, you want to take a quick break here? Think about what he just said, and maybe there's a...
I'm already underway.
Okay.
Can we come back, is that all right?
Sure.
Well, thanks. What's your phone number? Was it a different number?
No,
That was it all along, and he couldn't unmute. Okay, well, I'm glad you're on. Harv?
Harv.
Okay, Harv, your floor. I've read the resolution and understand that we already have a trail that we've had a resolution on, and now you're asking for the national designation. You might want to explain it in terms of, at first we thought you needed the addresses, the roads and all that, but you explained to Tina that it was about parks, so we kind of confused about that. So clarify it for us and tell us what we've got.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what you helped us on before, actually through Kit Shy.
Right.
The first resolution was your support way back in probably 2013 for the feasibility study for the national trail. And that was unanimously passed back then. Then we came to you and asked for your resolution of recognition of the Pike Trail as a pioneer trail under Colorado state law. And that's what your confusion is. There's actually two different things that you had passed. Now we need to renew your support for the designation of the Pike Trail, which is being studied by the Park Service right now, and is likely to be bills are likely to be presented to Congress by Bennett and Hickenlooper late next year. But we need that support to show them and Congress, as well as the National Park Service, that you still support the designation. And that's what this is about.
Okay, that's,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that helps a lot. That resolution was in 2016, that we resolved to, designated as sections of the Pioneer Trail that you mentioned. And then, this new resolution is a resolution to support the designation of the Pike National Historic Trail. So, I think that
Right.
helps.
The Pike Trail in Colorado, 2016 resolution that you passed, has in it basically the route,
Right.
as Kit laid out. But as I explained to Tina yesterday, the National Park Service, once this is designated, will come up with their own route. And as I said, an auto route. It will not include pedestrian, that is hike, bike, trail, as Kit had laid out. The association, the Pike Association, will still hold that as one of our routes.
Right.
But the Park Service will come up with their own auto route.
Got it.
Which is likely to be over Oak Creek grade down to 69, and I don't know about going over Medno or over the sand dunes, but that will happen after designation when the management plan gets drawn. So in this resolution, we do not, as I said to Tina, it might be smart to put in a paragraph that we prefer the route that we approved back in 2016, and be specific about what you did approve. That could be an addendum, I would think.
Or we just table it and rewrite it, come up with what you really want. Because all this says is,
why don't you just work with what I suggested, the resolution that you have in front of you, and don't put in anything about what you prefer with as far as the route goes.
I'm good with that.
But Tina told me you had other questions.
I think that was the major question we had.
Well, I have one.
Tom's got one. Go ahead.
Laura, this is Tom Flower, one of the county commissioners. Do you have a copy of the resolution in front of you that you provided us?
Okay.
Do I have a copy?
Yeah, you have a copy in front of you that you can look at.
Let me go. I'm on my laptop.
Well, let me ask you the question, you maybe answer it. The third whereas in the document you provided us said that 10 of Pike's men had their feet frozen and 3 were left behind in 1806. Now, the second whereas talks about them being, the first whereas, no, it's the second.
That was the first one.
Talk to them about being here in 1807. Is that a typo, or in fact was
that would be a typo.
Okay, but it should say 1807.
It should say 1806. They came out of the Grape Creek Canyon and came up. And the Kit and I were out there, and he took me to Oak Creek grade, where the road crosses where Pike came through, and then they cut through on the south end of West Cliff, and they crossed Grape Creek where it turns east-west, and that's where they fell into the Grape Creek, and they had to leave 2 men over by Horn Peak and another one by Muddy Creek before they went over Medno.
Okay, but my question.
Hold on, Harv.
My question is 1807 or 1806 the accurate year?
1806 is the accurate year.
Okay, so,
So I have a question on that as well.
just a second. Go ahead.
Okay, the initial, resolution that was passed in,
16.
2016 speaks to that. It says in January of 1807, the Pike expedition during the course of its journey that began in 1807.
Yeah, I'm rethinking that. It should be January of 1807.
That's right.
You're correct.
Okay.
I was wrong in saying 2016.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hold on a second, Harv.
They
Hold
had
on.
already spent Christmas in Canyon City.
Yeah, so, okay, hold it. So, okay, the first date is the Pike expedition, January 16, 1807. That's on the second paragraph. That's what it says. The third one was the one we were just wanting to correct to 1807, which we understand. The next place it's mentioned is the Pike expedition of 1806 through 7, which is correct. So I think that covers it all. You just got more specific where they froze their feet in 07. So I think we're okay.
Yeah, they were in the valley from about the 16th to the 25th.
Right. So, we're good with that. And I think this particular resolution then, what Kevin pointed out, actually includes the correct dates that we passed in the first resolution. So we're consistent with it. So that's all we needed to clarify.
Yeah, right.
And so, if we pass this resolution, does it go back to you, or do we have contact?
I'll be talking with Aaron Marr actually over breakfast in Albuquerque next Tuesday, and he needs a copy.
Tina has all that data, and she can get the resolution to you when you need it. Correct?
Yeah, well, I'll contact. I already contacted Tina, and she knows who to send it to.
She is here. She heard you.
Well, I would move we adopt. Actually, we don't have a resolution number on this.
Yeah, we do.
You've rewritten it.
No.
21
21-20. Custer County Resolution 21-20.
I was looking
You had the
at the resolution you sent us.
Yeah.
21-20, to adopt that resolution concerning the Pike Historic Trail.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the Custer County Resolution. Adopt, I'm sorry, to adopt. Oops, go ahead.
Don't you have to mention that we're changing the date on that resolution? So right now, it's the one that you have.
Yeah, with the correction of the date on paragraph 3.
And I thought you were gonna make some other changes.
I was going to, didn't know whether to do it before or during discussion time.
Well, we better get it on there now that there's nothing.
If I may, Tom, before you, change your motion, on the "we further," right at the bottom, I believe that should be resolved instead of resolved.
We further resolve. Clint, do you see that?
I don't have it here in front of me, but it's
You
either
say
be it further resolved.
It now says resolved, and I
think
believe that should just be resolved.
It really, what he's saying is right. It
Well,
should-
either you do it, be it further resolved, or we resolve.
we did it, be it further resolved on the first one. It ought to be consistent, be it further
Do
resolved.
it that way, be it further resolved.
Okay.
That's
I'm
good.
fully capable of making typos.
So it's okay. We're taking care of it.
Not to be argumentative, I think, I'm looking at the original one, so I don't know if there's been changes on this one or not, but, I think the first one, be it resolved, we are making that
Right,
resolution.
be it
I
resolved.
think that's correct, and then
Be it further resolved.
we further resolve the second one, yeah.
Be it further resolved. Got it? Team's got it. Anything?
Be it further resolved.
It should be it the first one is be it resolved, and then be it further resolved.
Okay.
Yeah, not we, it should be.
It should be it further resolved.
Just for your information, we are currently, there's a resolution in the Missouri state legislature to support the national designation. And we're working on a Kansas one, so that be it further resolved, that's what that's all about.
Okay,
So and those should all be in caps too, Tina.
yeah, just like the first one is.
So with those changes, I would ask that my motion be considered.
And you second.
I would also amend my second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adopt Custer County Resolution 2120 with the discussed corrections, typos, to support a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado, supporting the designation of the Pike National Historic Trail. Any other discussion?
Well, there,
Well,
second to the
don't
last
be.
whereas, okay, then I won't,
We'll include it in your,
then I won't be, second to the last whereas, I really believe should say whereas the lure of tourists to Custer County is significant. It says the tourist, and I'm not sure we're accurate in saying the tourist.
that's a good point.
So I just think it should say the lure of tourists plural to Custer County.
Okay, so that we can include in all the typo corrections. That's good. Okay, any other discussion? Anybody else wanna take a shot at correcting this? No? Jackie does. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin? Aye. Kanda, aye. Okay, you will get Harv, you will get a corrected version, an official version on official stamped paper here from Custer County. When Tina, you get
Wonderful. One other thing I'd like to let you folks know, Scott Erickson and a couple of other business owners in town has a support sheet for people to sign. Scott told me he put it in his window. So go down there and encourage people to sign that support sheet for the designation, because I'll share those with congressmen and the Park Service.
Okay, that's a good idea, and I think maybe Tina can help do that and give it to Debbie Adams to put into tourism.
Do you know the name of his business, Harv?
Pardon?
Yeah, no, what is his business? We don't know who you're referring to.
Loner Ranger,
Got it.
Thank you.
Scott Erickson and his wife,
Okay,
and the sport clothing store 2 doors down.
okay.
They are
We will,
collecting.
we will gather up the petition, we'll call that, and get it to the tourism board, as well, and they can work on whatever timeline you want.
That will help us a great deal.
Great. Well, this is a
Thank
neat
you
thing.
very much.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. This is a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to point out,
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Let's
Thanks.
Great Creek, we came across.
If anybody sees Kit, have him call Harv, please,
All right.
or
Okay,
Bob
thanks.
Pratt. Bob Pratt is another person I need to talk to.
Okay, we got it. Go ahead now.
I just
Clint?
wanted to say, when they left Great Creek, they came up Johnson Gulch, and that goes across the very southwest corner of my property.
You too. You got it.
I always look for signs down there, but I doubt they left any old tires.
No tires there.
Thank you, Bob, Harv, we appreciate
Yep,
it.
thank you very much.
Okay,
All right,
I'm gonna hang up.
Yeah, go ahead. That's great. Thanks.
No.
All right.
Oh,
I think we're good now. We got
Carol.
where's Jordan? Hey, Jordan, we got an open line on you. Is that the one we keep open? It's just flashing, not muted. If that interferes with anything, is all I'm asking. I don't think it does. Yeah, it's flashing to 6. Is that this one? Okay. All right, moving along. Let's get back to your letter.
All right, let's finish the letter. All right, so, to address your question, let's go through this a little bit and see residents starting down there with the 2 categories. So, in the first paragraph, it talks about community needs and economic development. directly from the federal guidelines. So we didn't write that. But it talks about replacing lost revenue, retaining jobs, economic stabilization of households and businesses. So down to your concern, 2 categories of funding, would you be more comfortable if we took out the 4 community projects in need? If we just took that out, and we had 2 categories of funding applications that we considered, grants under 10,000 and grants over 10,000 that support sustainable development.
Personally, I would.
You'd like that?
Because they can refer back up to
Be anything.
bullets.
Yeah, I think we can take that out. And then I think that the very last line where it says eligible organizations are encouraged to collaborate, instead of eligible organizations, maybe we could just say organizations. So if you are an organization and you are.
You're applying, you'll know whether, you're gonna determine whether they're.
Yeah, they may not know they're eligible when they wanna collaborate, so I think
Right,
that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Use the word eligible.
So if we remove 4 community projects in need and remove the word eligible, is that, the word?
Well, you're not on trial, but it works for me.
I got one yes.
And then,
If I can count to 2.
in an effort to strive for accuracy, I see we have 2 different font sizes in this document. The first paragraph.
Cut and pasted, you left it big. It's not the same font.
I just did notice that.
Yeah, I'll get that changed.
Okay, all right, that's,
And I'll also make the other 2 changes as well.
okay. We'll change those things, but, and then I'm sure that our committee will be fine with that, but I cannot speak for them, so.
Okay, let's see if it's fine with Kevin.
Yeah, so if you
Kevin.
guys agree to that, then we'll take that, I'll just email.
Okay, so I'm good with this, with the changes you're gonna make, I think.
So, the other overarching question I had is, what title are we assigning to this? Is it the state and local fiscal recovery plan, or?
Custer County Fiscal Recovery Fund Grant. Is that what you're asking? That's what we call it.
Okay,
Yeah, that's different than the American Recovery Plan, maybe, that's.
Right, this is our.
that's the language
The
there.
charters for the, for Custer County.
Custer County Fiscal Recovery.
Fun.
We'll get to that
Custer County
document in a
Fiscal
minute.
Recovery Fund
Yeah.
Grant. And
Because
that's
it's different
the
here.
headline on the application.
What's your, you also have a title on your schedule, so you kinda wanna be consistent.
That schedule is for internal use only.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me see where
But it wouldn't hurt to, you and Reggie and other people need to get together, but the schedule's important for everybody to see what's going on.
Sure.
Not necessarily internal.
At this point in time, this schedule changes every time we.
Right.
Yeah, I get
You
it.
know, so.
That's the committee schedule.
Yeah, that's our committee schedule, we're just, as we trudge along, trying to.
Eventually, you need to get a public one out.
Informational item only at this point.
Internal.
Internal
Just for
information.
their committee, it's not for the public. Yeah, so I noticed it's SLFRF in some places,
Fluffer.
which is really what it is. That's what the Treasury titled it, was State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. But anyway, I'm just still looking at the first document. I know we'll get to those other documents, so,
Are you good with the changes?
I am.
Kevin is, we're good. Thumbs up, three thumbs.
We'll take, I'll send it back out, I will, if you will please send it back out to our committee, and then we'll just take a roll call online vote.
Okay.
And so we're taking out that supports sustainable development also, correct?
Yeah.
Over 10,000,
Yeah.
we're taking that language out.
No, we didn't talk about, we talked about 4 community projects in need. The 10,000, I think that we're seeing that our vision was that 10,000 is probably not an individual. We are probably not looking with these funds to replace somebody's roof. We are looking at a large grant being a sustainable community project.
Well, you bring up a good point. You gotta focus on what it is. It's not to repair things that got broken code. It's to produce things that produce income to the county, to recover.
I would disagree, sir,
Um,
respectfully. If you read the language,
I didn't interpret it that way, but maybe.
I'm just concerned that the way it's written, anybody that applies for over $10,000 has to support sustainable development. I don't believe that's the intent of this whole program. I know that was the committee's intent, right? You wanted to have,
The larger money going for more sustainable community improvement, yeah. Doesn't exclude small individual grants.
Yeah, I'm, individual, I agree with him, he does. I didn't look at it. How do you compete them, really? If it, COVID caused the roofs not to be repaired, is that what you're, I'm just using an example. I don't know if that, because they
I
could
could
give
see
you
somebody
some,
asking.
I suppose that's the way I would draw a distinction there, and I'm just one person on the committee. But I would say that if you own the pizza shop and you need your roof repaired, or you're gonna have to close down,
keep going, okay?
we're gonna have 14 people unemployed.
Right.
Because of
Well,
the
sure.
roof, okay, that makes $10,000 and we may entertain that. If I apply for this and I say, you know, my insurance didn't cover it and I'd really like a new roof, can you give me $12,000? That's not what we're thinking. You know, that those individual grants are not going to be of that size.
I get it.
That size is going to be something more, that we're going to keep those 12 jobs, we're going to keep those people employed. And so what we consider that absolutely.
Or we're gonna start a program that's going to hopefully blossom and benefit the community for 20 years.
Okay. So the language is you're gonna have grants that are 10,000 and under, and grants that are over. And what you suggested was just taking out 4 community projects. So it'll be grants under 10,000 to any, how they wanna interpret it, and make sure, and then you need to decide whether the committee does, whether they're eligible or not.
To your point, Tom, would you be more comfortable, and of course I can't speak for your committee either, trying to come to a resolution here, would you be more comfortable if that stated, preference would be given to, projects with sustainable development?
Well, when I read that whole document, all of the documents actually, sustainable development is one part of it. No more, no less important than other things that were spelled out in that document. I don't have a problem driving some of this money to community development, sustainable development.
I think leaving grants under 10,000, that's open, can be considered any of those. That's up to the committee to winnow them out. And then you have number 2, grants over 10,000 to support sustainable development. I'm happy with it. I think it opens the door for everything.
You wouldn't grant a $10,000 request if it didn't support sustainable development, correct?
I don't think that we're that regimented, no. I think that we're trying to encourage applications in that vein.
Smaller requests as well, is what you're not making.
Well, you know what, now, let's go back for a minute. That is the one meeting that, when this got divided up into 2, that I was on the phone, and I couldn't hear. But you guys were all in that meeting. How did you decide to make it 10,000?
We didn't decide.
We weren't deciding.
We did
Or
not decide.
part of that, you were part of that discussion, right? That was the meeting that you guys were all in with that.
But we were
Because
listening.
when I came to the second meeting, that was already in there, so.
That was your committee. But
Yeah.
10,000, I mean, and I think they were trying, my interpretation was in trying to make sure that they were encouraging people that had smaller needs. It wasn't a big community, it wasn't buying condos or buying a business or whatever, but those are allowed. And the rescue plan allows individuals to apply. And I don't, 10,000, what you guys did.
Marcy Gregg is the one who suggested $10,000 threshold.
Right. Now, if you wanna change that, it's up to you guys.
No, I was just wanting to know what the origin of
That's
of
how.
that paragraph is, because that's how I understand it.
Originally, they talked about 5,000, and they upped that to 10,000.
Yeah.
So,
But I think the whole point here of this discussion is to make sure the language is broad enough so an individual can apply.
yeah, Kevin, to your point, it'd be a little easier for me if the words with preference for grants that support sustainable development, maybe. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but somebody could come to you with a $15,000 grant that doesn't have a darn thing to do with community development. And I believe under the auspices of this whole program, they could very well be eligible. I'm not against this whole sustainable development, community development, but I'm also not in favor of limiting it just to that, because
Right.
that was not the spirit of this
That's
whole
right.
grant. That's my point.
And
So
I agree.
I could go along with preference, for grants that support sustainable development, that's fine.
And before you finalize the ink on that, the thought is, maybe try this one. Even though $1 million is a lot of money, it's not a lot of money. And so, what I see, I mean, you wouldn't wanna spend all $1 million on one business and maybe hoping that we're gonna have 100 people be employed, as an example. You would like to encourage people to take the money, like small amounts of money, to match grants with, to leverage for bigger projects. And that would be the preference I would like to see. There's preference for sustainable. What does that mean? See what I'm saying? Because if a guy came to you with a $500,000 request, but maybe there's other grants that could be available that the seed money could be given for the matching part of the application on a grant, you see?
Right, and that's what our last time slide said,
Right.
encourage to collaborate with others.
Right, but see, when you're putting in a preference for a sustainable thing, it sounds like you're wanting the bigger picture thing, and people might not understand that they're grants. How do you leverage the money, is what we're trying to do. Maybe they both do it.
Yeah, and you kind of bring up a question here, and I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and research this a little bit. Can this money be given to be used to leverage other grants?
I think it can.
I did see that, and that was, that one document that, I think I brought to one of those meetings. That was actually a recommendation that this money be used to leverage
Right.
other grants.
That way, otherwise, we're gonna limit it to two small projects, right? Then somebody will come in with a $100,000 deal that might only hire one guy. See what I'm saying? Open the door to people to think out of the box and come up with, with maybe a DOLA will match a $2 million thing for $50,000, investment per month. Anyway.
So I had just inserted
So
on
what do you
my,
guys wanted to say?
I inserted on my copy, and number 2, grants over $10,000, comma, with preference for applications that support sustainable development.
Yeah, grants over on the number 2, that's not a bad thing. And where do you say leverage other things on this?
It's not in there.
We don't use the word leverage, we use the word collaborate.
Okay, well, think about that, because the collaborate means maybe there's somebody else with a bigger investment, and they're gonna partner with you. There's grants, there are abilities to get banks to invest, if you're invested in it, as well as government agencies to grant money.
Okay.
So to collaborate,
Let's work on finish Tom's piece here, with preference, $10,000, with preference what?
For applications that support
right,
sustainable development. They're not grants, it's an application under 10,000, and an
Applications
application
that support sustainable development, okay.
over.
And then, would you like us, those bottom line, organizations are encouraged, can we fix that collaborate and somehow be clear that we're talking about leverage?
No.
That's what we're talking about.
collaboration's good, and you could maybe just, IE it, or, print, or whatever this is, with other
what, I have a suggestion. I am wondering, if, do you guys have work sessions,
Workshops.
workshops? I am wondering if you wanna take the time to go through these,
No.
all these pages to this level in a commission.
No, you,
Probably not.
No.
Come back and come to a work
No.
session.
just take the idea, no, you don't need that right now. I think you're good there, it's just, to look for other sources to team with or collaborate with. It's just simple fix.
Yeah, I think what she's asking is, do we wanna spend time today dissecting these documents? I believe a workshop would be appropriate.
Right,
I think that's better.
I'm not in favor of sending all this out to the public without us going through
Right.
it for these very reasons.
but that's why you need to come up, these are some hints. Work that, and then we can schedule a time.
So on the time frame where they are looking at to get this out,
We'll just move it back, Kevin.
We got
Your
time.
next meeting,
We don't have one scheduled at this point in time because we were,
waiting to see about this.
so,
No, I agree, we could spend an hour
Yeah,
and a half
this-
going through these documents. If we don't, we're not doing our job.
Right,
So I'm in favor of doing that, I'm just, to your point, I don't think we're ready to do it today.
right.
That's what you're.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
my point was, should we go ahead and get that scheduled now, so that
Yeah,
we're not putting them off 3 weeks when they're past their
you
schedule?
gotta get with them to understand when they can do it, though.
Well, one of their reps can be there surely if we pick a date. Tuesday the 26th.
Or-
Tina, should we have, I'm thinking that maybe we have the committee meet one more time, knowing your concerns in light of this, we should go through this one again and make sure that we are reflecting closer to what you want,
I would like,
and then bring it back to a workshop.
I agree, and I would like, we got enough time.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't,
okay.
I know that this isn't like, if we don't do it before Christmas,
Your
we're gonna
schedule will
die.
change again
Right.
every time you meet.
that's why I told you, I'm not sending this out to
Yeah.
anybody.
Okay. That was, I was trying to address the existing schedule,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, no,
And
that's,
you can work with Tina to figure out, and she can
okay,
get with
so we'll
us.
try to get the committee together one more time to relook at these with your concerns in mind, then we will bring it to
Okay.
the workshop
All right,
for you to,
that's great. So we've got the cover letter, we understand your schedule. Is there anything we need to talk about on the other, that you wanted to mention?
But we do that in a workshop.
No, I know, but is there,
Do we wanna set a date, or do you wanna
No,
let them meet?
let
and
them
pick a
meet.
date?
do you have that workshop?
no, I wanna wait, you guys go look and see what
Let us
you can
get
do
together
and work
again.
it, because
We need to get our
that way we
committee
can
together
get
again.
a comfortable date that's not gonna interfere with everybody. It's important for you guys to agree first.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We get our committee together again first, and then we'll
I'm good with that.
workshop those,
Yeah,
and we'll try to do that within the next week or so.
I'll call you.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
but I really like what you've done. This is progress.
It took us 4 meetings to get to this point.
But that's the hard part,
Yeah,
getting
but-
the inertia going. It's very good.
All right, good, thank you.
Carol, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, anything else, Tom? Kim, on that? Okay, let's, take 5 minutes, it's almost 10:30 on the Wetmore clock. And we'll come back in 5. 'Cause I want a cinnamon roll.
What's driving you?
Yeah, what's driving me.
Positive motive.
Yeah, they did.
Billy Ranch, Highland Woods. You're good.
You're good.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, I control, yeah.
Hey, we need what?
The light's not green.
Oh. They got a mic here.
That's okay, yeah.
Is it on? It's not green, she said. Oh, okay. Okay, we're back. It's, 28 minutes until 11, and we'll continue with a grand presentation by Jackie Hoffman.
Okay, so all I want you to do is sign these 8 short-term rental approvals that the planning commission has already approved. The first one is Levon and Charles Bullard, and Kelly found out that we didn't do a nunc pro tunc on that one, so remember we did the nunc pro tunc, so.
First time I've heard you cuss.
It's French. So if you'll sign all these, we'll be great.
But, so, the first one's the only one?
That's nunc pro tunc.
Get that passed in front.
Okay.
I do have a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Jim.
Before we do that.
Go ahead.
There are some of these letters, the one for Robert Serio, it says maximum rental will be 2, and then parentheses 4 people.
4 people. You get 2 people per bedroom.
Okay.
Maximum rental will be 2, parentheses, 4 people.
Oh.
So, and
You
then
caught me.
some of them
It's
say
easy
4 with
right
4, some say 6 with 6, some say 3 with 6, and some say 2 with 4.
We know you mean bedrooms, but other people may not.
So I think if we change that to be consistent with the, number outside of the parentheses being.
Maximum rental will be 6.
You're just saying 6 people, 4
Maximum
people.
rental will be 4,
We
okay.
can take out the word 2.
4, 4.
We just go down through individual. Let's go down.
Let's just go down, hit it one at a time here real quick. So,
We're gonna vote on them all at once,
Why not?
because we are tasked with going through these applications.
I'm not.
individually.
I have to be somewhere.
okay,
Nunc pro tunc is the first one.
Yep.
And we all agree with that one, right?
Is 6 people correct?
Yes.
And what does nunc pro tunc mean?
That means that Mr. Smith got paid extra that day to come up with a strange word.
So it doesn't mean
To
it's
be
every
correct.
amount.
It
Now
doesn't
for
mean
that.
diddly squat.
Now for that, very good, okay.
now for them.
So the
Means
bottom of the line-
retroactively.
And
And
Mr.
it's not capitalized.
And Mr. Smith's new name is Great Fox.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem with the first.
All right, let's get
Okay,
good.
the
All right,
second one-
Second one,
We're gonna change to 4,
Serio.
the 2 to 4,
Yep.
Just take out the word 2.
yes,
All right.
and put 4 in it.
What's the name on that one?
It's, Serio,
Cereal.
Cereal.
okay.
Okay, the one for Stam is good to go, 6-6.
Sam or Sam?
Stam, S-T-A-M-M. Next one is 4 people. Is there anything else on?
Are these in subdivision?
Yes,
For HOAs?
yes. Four and 4 is
On
mallet.
Mallet.
Mallet's good to go,
Monberg.
good to go.
Bornberg. Anything else on, looks the same?
Oh, Lamphir,
2 and 4 again.
2 and 4, pull that one.
Lampier.
Now we're at Ruth, 3 and 6. Okay, so that's, I might change that to 3,
Because we don't care about the bedrooms, we care about the number of people.
right,
As far as short-term.
so it should be 3 and 3,
Yeah,
3
and 6.
or just 6?
6,
Should be
and
6.
that's Ruth.
Yeah.
That's on
So
Ruth.
Take out the word 3, correct.
Take out 3. 3 on the next one is, gold.
Gold, so take out that one.
That's all of them.
Wow. Half is all right.
Okay?
Obviously, all of these were recommendations for approval by.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you need to sign this one was all right.
Well, I'm just, I don't, are we signing these or the other ones?
You're signing those.
This is on cheap paper. You using your cheap paper?
It's letterhead, it's green. Sign it, now.
This one's all right.
I wouldn't think
Yeah,
you
I thought
sign
you
it
had the
till we actually vote on it.
We gotta vote on it, but I will sign it. Let's keep it out.
Thank you.
I thought you had the originals, I gave them back to Kayla.
Huh?
You don't have the originals that you gave me, that I gave back to Kayla yesterday?
That's what you, yeah, they're the original.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
Don't pay attention to Mr. Candace.
Go ahead.
Chairman, I would move that we approve these 6, is that right?
8.
No,
We can approve it with corrections, but I don't, let him finish it.
That we approve these 8, recommendations for short-term rentals from the planning and zoning, from the planning commission, to include the changes that we spoke about this morning.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the recommendations, or
To approve
I should say,
short-term rental
short-term rental applications with corrections,
based
as
on the
discussed.
planning commission's recommendation.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
I just have one quick question. The very last line on any of these applications, Jackie's XC applicant, Custer County clerk. I don't know what XC means.
Xerox copy.
Would be filed with the clerk's office.
She'll do it. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of approving the short-term rental applications as corrected and amended, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
Means that for you, Jackie. You know,
No, I don't, but,
30, 40.
probably,
Not that many. I've seen.
probably less than 30. But, we have 3 more dates. November 1st, the 18th, and the 29th, and then that's it.
Of November.
And then we will not start them again until February,
Mid-February.
because we had the deadline.
Okay, give me the correct ones, the ones that are correct. I'll sign those.
Please.
Yeah, just set them right there.
Okay, please.
Please, madam. And then, does Tina have the ones that need to be correct?
So,
No, I do.
Jackie, you said you're gonna start again in February. Is that accepting existing short-term rental applications in February?
Because we gave them a deadline for November 11th. So if you come in and you're on November 11th, then I need my 2-week notice to go in the paper. And so then that will put you the 29th.
Okay.
And so that'll be our last one. The boards don't meet in January, we set a calendar and appoint people. So, we gave them all a deadline.
And so there'll be another deadline now eventually. I'm talking about existing short-term rentals.
See, so their existing short-term rentals had to apply and get approval by November
Okay,
11th.
all right. The February thing doesn't apply to them, that's
The
what I'm
February
getting
thing does not apply to
at.
them.
I hope everybody understands that, that's short-term rental. What question? What is a short-term rental? Good question.
Anything less than 30 days.
Yeah, individuals are renting out their properties. Yeah. State law says less than 30 days.
I wanted to clarify, that people can still submit their applications, they just won't be processed until the board meets again in February. If they miss that November 11th deadline, they can still keep submitting them, they just won't be processed.
When you
No.
say people, do you mean existing
I mean,
short-term rentals?
existing short-term rentals, they can submit their application, but they won't be,
No, we will not,
they have to get a cease and desist, but they can still turn in their paperwork at any time. But if they don't turn it in by November 11th, they're gonna get a cease and desist, that's
Okay.
what Jackie.
but we won't take applications until February.
Right.
We do not hold anybody's money that long or application,
Okay,
because we lose them.
okay.
So, we don't take the responsibility. If you can't turn your application in for a dwelling 4 or 5 months before you want your dwelling permit, because we don't wanna be held responsible.
So then will the online application process be taken off, so they can't fill it out online?
Probably just have Vernon put in February.
Okay, okay.
So for clarification, if I currently own a short-term rental and I did not meet this November 11th deadline, then I'll get a cease and desist,
Right.
and then I can apply in February.
Correct.
I'm not, that cease and desist isn't forever, it's only until my application is reviewed.
Correct.
Thank you.
For further clarification, now, if they miss this deadline, they have to start from square one, and it's a new application fee all the way around,
But see,
correct?
there wasn't no difference in our application fees, it was $500. We were just trying to get everyone that had an existing short-term rental in compliance with their septic, because we had that one that has a 3-bedroom septic that's renting for 20.
Right.
So we're trying to get all these people into compliance. Well, if you don't come into compliance, but here's the deal, we might have a rush at the very end, or people don't rent their short-term rental in the wintertime, so they're just gonna wait till February.
Save the money.
Because
Christmas.
then, yeah, exactly, because the permit's $500, and then to renew it's a couple hundred.
See, I like do it now and then redo it.
Yeah, and to your point though, Kevin, I think, if there becomes a list of people, then I think you're exactly right. If you go to the bottom of that queue, the bottom of the list, but we haven't really had that yet, so.
There's no
We may
rush.
get it, but that's what the
No.
committee
Rush on
decided.
it.
No, but we talked about you would go to the bottom of the list.
Right.
So if you did not, the incentive was to
Get them to complete.
get your short-term rental permit, if you're existing, right away, because you will go to the bottom of the list come February.
You're gonna have to stop right, kick them out. All right, any other enlightenment?
No, but can I bring these back tomorrow during my
No.
budget,
No, pro-tunc?
and you sign them?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm there early in the morning, so I suggest you drink a lot of coffee, 'cause I'm ready.
As long as you can get her cinnamon rolls, take 5 of them up with you.
I mean, that's how we've been operating. We're men empty-handed, I can tell you what's gonna happen to your budget.
Bye,
All
guys.
right, thanks,
Yeah,
Jackie.
thank you. I would like to make a comment. That's the shortest time I ever seen her do.
Yeah, I know, isn't that great? And she was polite.
Somewhat.
Sorta.
I would say.
All right, looks like we got the Saddle Club up. Let's consider a letter of support for the Wet Mountain Valley Saddle Club. Are you ready?
For those that don't know me, I'm Mary Mallory, and I'm the treasurer for the Saddle Club, I'm representing.
Okay, speak up.
Okay.
There you go.
Got it.
Your speaker may not, or microphone may not be working.
I don't think it's on,
Okay.
but I'm close.
Yeah, you're good.
Do I have to stand or may I sit?
No, you can sit if you like,
All right.
whatever you're comfortable.
I'm old.
Okay.
All right,
No, you're
thank
not.
So this is actually brought on me rather quickly, as those that discussed it, were unable to attend today, but as most everybody in this room knows, our rodeo was more successful as far as participation from spectators than we anticipated. And we did not have enough seating. So stadium seating is very expensive, and we are looking at grants this year and early next year to at least partially, in case it's a matching grant, to cover, we're looking at hopefully 500 more seats. And we were looking for a letter of support from the county commissioners to that effect, that they would support our grant efforts in getting more seats.
how many do the current stadium stands hold? The one that are that are covered? Just so we get.
That depends on, if you're looking at the national standard of 18 inches versus what we are looking at is more like 30 inches for a normal person.
18's the standard, no fooling? Nobody's that wide.
I think that a large portion of those might be children. But we can't anticipate that those are gonna be children. I believe at 18 inches, we're at 1,500 currently. And we had more than 1,500 people at our Saturday, rodeo.
Yeah, it was like almost two,
I would say there was a couple thousand.
that couple of them.
And so many of those people were lined up in front of the current stadium seating, so that a lot of people were not able to see, and some people couldn't even barge their way through that. So there were people that really, they could hear it, but they couldn't really see anything.
Good problem to have,
You know,
in a short term.
I totally agree, and honestly, we made enough money on the rodeo this past year that we're upgrading electric. And so our vendors, I mean, this will be huge for them, which would really help our vendors. And hopefully we'll be able to get more of those food vendors in. There were long lines for those.
Right.
So,
So just real quick, you have you said grants that you've lined up?
there are 3 that they're currently looking at, yes.
And they are they, and you're not asking for matching funds or anything, you're just asking for an endorsement of a great project? And you, whatever matching funds you all are able to cover, for sure. For now.
We'll do the best that we can. We have really good community support, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll bet. All right.
Did you wanna read this?
Yeah, I will here as soon as, well, all right, let me read the letter here and then.
You know what? I didn't even know we had a letter.
It's
Here
right
it
here.
is, I've got it. So this letter of support that you now can.
Because I know
that you had a great hand in. Says, congratulations on the largest and most successful PRCA rodeo ever. We appreciate your efforts to improve the safety and accommodations of the rodeo ground. Please accept this correspondence as an official endorsement and letter of support from the Board of County Commissioners with respect to your efforts in pursuing grant funding to increase the seating capacity and provide ADA accommodations at the rodeo ground. You didn't mention that.
Yes, and of course, we are gonna do that as well.
I knew you were getting to that.
So I move we endorse this effort and, sign and send this letter of support for supporting the Wet Mountain Valley's applicant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on accepting this letter, Tom? Anybody out here? You all for the rodeo? All right. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Tom? Kanda, aye. Let's do this right now. So you can say, you screwed up, because you're here, if we signed it, no arguing, they'll send you back.
No, I've kind of enjoyed this meeting, to be honest.
We don't have a TV evidently.
Well, seven rolls do make it a little easier.
Yeah, sure does.
I wouldn't know.
You would, oh yeah.
Take our word for it, they were good.
Yeah, they sure were good, Kevin.
Thank somebody for writing the letter.
I don't know who wrote it.
That Tina did.
Aw, thank you.
So the best rodeo ever means better than Cheyenne or,
Meant from,
You know, we may get there, you don't know.
I mean, the letter said the best rodeo ever.
Well, we have the best bowling
That's how
alley
I
ever.
always
I read that in the paper every week.
just your
Your first day is Friday. I'll try to remember.
Well, it was the best PCRA rodeo we've had two. chute here, speaking of rodeos, is, consideration of, support for the Silver Cliff Park equipment.
I would move we approve the letter supporting their efforts to get grants for their park.
I'll second that one. So it's been moved and seconded to accept, and sign this letter supporting the grant funding for park equipment for the town of Silver Cliff. And I will read this one too for everybody. We are in receipt of, and have reviewed your request for a letter of support to assist your town in the pursuit of grant funding to replace the playground equipment, baseball field fences, in addition of a golf disc course in your park. Note, the Silver Cliff Town Park hosts the high school baseball teams, little league teams, and provides a venue for the summer school youth program. All equipment in the park is used by the residents of both towns, the county, visitors, and guests of our communities. Outdoor venues are instrumental for sports recreation and community gatherings. We commend your efforts in continuing to provide a safe environment and amenities for all ages to use and enjoy. Please accept this correspondence and official endorsement of the Custer County Board of Commissioners for you to obtain grant funding necessary to accomplish your goals. Nice letter. All in favor of supporting this, Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Pickleball. Don't care about disc golf, we want pickleball.
Okay. We're not done with the town of Silver Cliff yet, 'cause in the budget request for next year, they're asking for a buck plus the letter. My job description. All right, next out of the chute again is consideration of the road and bridge supervisor job description. You pulling it up?
Mr. Chairman, I move to postpone this, item of business until the end of the month meeting. I have not been able to give it due diligence since we got started with our board,
I agree.
our budget process.
Okay, it's been moved, I'll second that, to, move this meeting, to the end of the month meeting, or the first of October 29th meeting. Second?
You did.
Did I second it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second. Oh, wait, I did. All right, it's been moved and seconded to accept the, change of moving this to the October 29th meeting. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Discussion.
Well, discussion, go ahead.
Yeah, I did make a motion, but I also kinda did it with some reservation. Hopefully, between now and then, we can hammer out a lot of that, because we really do need to move forward with it. I hate to get to the 29th and say, well, let's postpone it until the 5th of December or whatever, because we're gonna kinda be up against or November, kinda get up against the timeline.
Timeline.
I'm sure not prepared to deal with it in detail today.
I made some notations, of course, I was just looking for it, it's sitting on the table at home, so, I would be,
You're okay with that?
I would be good with that. And maybe between now and then, if we could, maybe we could send some of our corrections to each other, so that
We
we
got
might
some
be
of them.
looking at a semi-finished document so we don't have to hammer out a
So
lot
who
of
has
details.
the most current version? You made comments already. Do we have,
2014.
is that the one that had comments on, right?
No.
The one that Tom sent out is the most
So I
current,
also
that-
sent it out in the packet, and it says 2014.
Okay,
That's the one you guys.
and then it was updated.
that's the one that's already been worked on.
16, I believe, at the bottom of the.
So that's my reason.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Okay, Tom?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Okay, now, who's doing the REACH proposal?
I believe that it's probably, they were they made their presentation to us the other day at that meeting from
Right.
Mr. Nolting, and,
You think that?
we told them that we would come to a decision on that, and that's why it's on the agenda. But it would be based upon their presentation of the other day.
So a comment, if I may, sir.
Go ahead, Tom.
I guess partly for the audience's benefit. So Reach Air Ambulance came to us a couple of years ago and made a presentation and a proposal that we purchase a subscription from them for air ambulance service for everybody in Custer County. It's $20,000. And so we discussed that some, and then finally we kind of unofficially negotiated with Reach to say for $20,000, we expect you to cover anybody that's injured in Custer County, whether they live here or not. Because we get a lot of people that travel through, get in a car crash, and so we just felt like we needed everybody to be covered. And they said, okay, they took that back. Well, then the whole thing kind of lost momentum and got postponed, and then you know what hit, and I can't even bring myself to say that, but, so now here we are again, and so Reach has come back and, with a proposal that we buy subscriptions for every resident in Custer County. I think the price tag was $32,000 and would not include anybody that did not have a Custer County address. So if somebody from Oklahoma got in a car wreck on hardscrabble, Reach would service them, but they wouldn't be covered. They would have to pay for that out of their own pocket. So to me, that's the big difference, the price tag and the fact that residents aren't, non-residents wouldn't be included. The language in the contract said every living soul in Custer County at the time of their accident. Didn't matter where you lived. Obviously, they don't fly dead souls. But, and so I thought about that, and then I got thinking with this whole conversation, we were misquoted severely in the paper about this topic as well. The conversation about ambulance and fire department merging together, I'm almost of the mind of want to take a wait and see on the Reach thing to see what the outcome of that is. That could be a couple of years down the road. I understand that, but, and maybe one doesn't really affect the other, I don't know. If you figure 4,700 residents in the county at $30,000, it's a pretty cheap insurance policy per individual. There was always that looming question. Does county government have any business buying insurance policies for the private citizen? So, I'm kind of on the middle of the fence here about making a decision. I would struggle with making a decision today, but I'm very interested in hearing what you gentlemen have to say.
Yeah, I had the same reservation when we were discussing this. I don't like the thought of Custer County Care, Medicare, Custer County Care being something that we would be on the hook to do. I talked to Clint a little bit about it, and, you know, the difference might be that it's up to the citizens. Each year it's renewable, maybe you get around that. But it's still a government-sponsored healthcare thing. That just grates on me a little bit. Because, and then the other issue was just Reach. There are 3 ambulance services, and any one of those helicopters gets to you. So that was an issue we talked about a little bit. And the way you handle the tourist in and out is, you know, an ambulance, they had the option. You can walk out, you can ride out, you can get on a helicopter. It's your choice as a patient, if you're conscious and can make that choice. So there's a lot of issues idea, understanding, and it's the first time we'd heard, of the fire department and the ambulance combining. That's probably a good thing, because who gets called out? The fire department and the ambulance go to these wrecks. Not a bad idea. And the county's not on the hook to provide any ambulance service by statute, but we did from the get-go as Custer County long ago when we became the medical district formed, and Custer County had this service, and then that got put into the medical clinic area, and then the county had the ambulance kind of, I mean, it's all evolved over time. So I like the idea of waiting to see how things merge and when they merge. And then we have the other issue of what Kevin brought up initially, leave Wetmore out, and then Wetmore's doing their thing with, Fremont, or with the other, closer. You wouldn't wanna go wait for somebody to come down and then figure out you're gonna go up to Salida and then you're gonna go down to a hospital somewhere else. You need to be able to react quickly here and go where you gotta go. So that has to be resolved too, I think, to consider as we go through this. So I'm all for, I wasn't ready to, because we never agreed that contract, we never really reviewed it.
Yeah, we don't have a contract
No,
yet.
that proposal,
Right.
that's what I should say. We have never really thought much about it except for what they briefed us.
So the census said we have 4,700 and some. I took 32,000 divided by 4,700, comes up $6.80, which is a heck of a bargain when you compare that to a private citizen getting the same subscription. My wife and I have a subscription to reach $60 a year.
One
Their
ride,
offer is that for $6.
wasn't that one ride, or was that?
No,
This was for unlimited, I
yeah,
know.
and so is a family member, membership. It's unlimited, household, it's per household. So, this contract, as I understand it, would not, well, we had a discussion about household and unlimited number of service calls or flights to any given house, and that would be included, so.
The other attractive thing was, Reach is nationwide, and they're in every state. So if you cracked up on the interstate driving to see your cousin in St. Louis, you're covered.
You would be covered
That's what I said.
if you bought that
You had-
$45 a year.
There was an
rider.
additional
Yes.
rider on the county
Right.
policy,
Yeah.
if we did it,
You'd be eligible, but it doesn't come with it automatically. The individual citizen would have to sign up for that.
and pay.
$45, yeah. So, I'd love to hear some public comment about this too, because I'm kind of in the middle of the road. I've talked to some healthcare people and they say, that's great insurance, $6 a person.
Which probably ought to require a big community meeting on it, if we got serious about it.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing. Any
Yeah.
thoughts here, Kevin?
Yeah, and I know you brought up the previous negotiations during that meeting, and they said, I forget the lady's name, forgive me.
Yeah.
She said she would go back and look at what it would be, but we have not heard back on, for lack of a better term, universal coverage for anyone in Custer County. But whether we do this or not, that doesn't, there again, by your admission there, it doesn't preclude anybody from purchasing this as an individual. It would be more expensive.
And I'll just throw out too, to that point, we did ask about that in our meeting with Reach, and she said that 12% of the residents in Custer County are already members of Reach. And so I multiplied that out, it would come out to about 570 people. So we would be paying duplicate, we would be paying for 570 people that don't need it.
Or that would quit doing what they're doing.
Or if they didn't re-up,
Right.
which would make sense. If you're gonna get the same coverage, let somebody else pay for it, why would you keep spending that $60? But to me, the real foundational question is, should our county government, to Bill's point, subsidize some kind of health care? I think there's some extenuating circumstances, the remoteness of our county,
The only municipality they brought up was, Lamar, La Junta, that city does it down there.
well, there's numerous municipality agreements
Right.
with them. them in the state.
But that's what
But they use Lahana because they have fixed and rotor aircraft station in Lahana. And the Board of County Commissioners did sign a municipal side agreement with them, so, and they seem to be happy with it out there.
Somebody on the phone, did somebody wanna speak up?
Guys, this is Brian.
Yep.
Tom, the point that Kara brought up, I think her name was Kara, that brought up on the folks that have already paid for the reach, that they would basically just extend their service if the county were to if we were to go down this road and no longer provide service at some point down the future, then they would reinstate those folks that had already prepaid. I think that's what she indicated at our last meeting.
I remember that conversation now, yes. Thank you for that, Brian.
Any comments in here, questions for the expert?
There was some discussion too about the number of flights in and out of Custer County on an annual basis. We couldn't get that number pinned down real accurately. I think that we'd have to do our due diligence and figure out how many runs.
They, mentioned something like 60 or 35. I'm not
think-
sure what.
I believe that Matt Nolting indicated that they had, that the fire department had responded to at least 39 calls for landing.
That's as close as we got.
Yeah, that was the best we got at that point. We'll have to, I need to ask Tyler and find out if he has any additional information. He's been on vacation, so I have not been able to follow up on that.
Okay, well, I think, this has been helpful having this discussion, and I think, we're kind of all in agreement. We ought to wait and see what the fire department and the ambulance corps do, and then we need to cogitate this a little more. Have probably a community meeting on it in the end somewhere.
I would agree with that.
You guys have any thoughts?
I need to point out that any kind of agreement with breach would be on an annual basis.
Right.
We can't commit future board.
No, it's an annual subscription.
Right.
Mary?
If you have this proposal from REACH, have you reached out to the other air ambulance services for proposals? And would that not be due diligence?
Yeah, it would be, but, Pipeline doesn't have that option. They don't do that. I don't know, there might be one out of Denver that would, but.
Brian, you had a comment.
I think I can kind of summarize that a little bit. We are currently working through some additional information that we've been provided by REACH. We can't publicly announce it, so we are just kind of waiting before we approach other air ambulance services. This is why I'm in favor of the commissioners putting a hold on this and just kind of delaying and waiting on it to see how some other things play out first.
Thank you for that,
Yeah,
as well.
That sounds logical.
good. All right, well,
Move to table this until further notice.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to table the consideration of the REACH proposal as it was presented, until down the road. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
All right,
Kanda, aye. All right, thank you, everybody.
Brian, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive, the correspondence from Tina in regards to setting up a meeting?
I did. I have responded, and you should see that in your email.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that, anything else to add?
Well,
Good.
let me check real quick.
New business? Or additional business?
No, you all got it, so it was an email from Under Sheriff Hill, giving us an updated figure on the, CCRCA.
Okay,
So we have that number, we plug into the,
See that?
sheriff budget.
okay, thanks. All right, any other items of business?
CRCA is what I'm
CRCA,
trying to.
yeah, I know you're, all right. Public comment. Thanks for the rolls. My mom made exactly the same recipe it tastes like. I remember it, thank you.
Very good.
Anything else? Anything in the phone land out there, online? Okay, with that, there's no executive sessions, so I'll gavel this meeting closed at, over at, 11:16. Record time for Wetmore, but that's because we want rolls.
I need the signed letter. Right there, the top one.
This one?
I believe so. Anything you got your signature on?